this piece. Okay, and we'll now go directly to the topic. Okay, are you able to see my screen? Give me a thumbs up or say yes if you're able to see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so thank you. It took some time for the introduction. However, I find that really quite useful. More from a personal perspective, it establishes that some sort of the human connection. So I know that I have only blocked the time from 7 to 8. However, if I will cover the content, I might extend beyond 8 o'clock. And if you have engagements beyond 8 o'clock, uh, I will not take it against you if you need to drop off. But for those who can stay until I finish the section for this part, it will be very much appreciated. Okay, so this is the first time that I'm going to do the modular approach for Yellow Belt Lean Six Sigma. It will be composed of 7 parts. There will be the intro, and then there's the phases. We'll go through define, measure, analyze, improve, control, and there's a wrap up portion. So around every week, every week probably there will be 2 modules. There will be live session Wednesday and Friday, and there will be additional modules that I will be recording non-live, but we'll post the what I call this the videos for you to consume at your own pace. Okay. So for those of you who've answered the survey, thank you very much. This is the profile of the people who have answered the survey. We've actually 2 students. There's 1 business, 1 in property management. There's 1 involved in training, community development, admin or executive assistants, government employee. There's someone who actually signed up from data science, law, HR, and someone who is want to do job hunting. I also looked at your pain points. The topmost concern is really on time management. Okay, and wait, hold on, I'm not able to see the other words. Okay, so there's someone who mentioned about facilitating discussion. Yes, there are tools in what I call this Lean Six Sigma. We're able to help you facilitate discussion. Someone talks about innovation. Yes, there are some tools in Lean Six Sigma Yellow Belt that can help you innovate. Communicating with stakeholders. I can think of 1 or 2 tools that you can use here. Process confusion. Yep, definitely there's a tool in Lean Six Sigma Yellow Belt where you can use to address process confusion. Data collection. Yes, we will probably cover some cases in collecting data. Problem definition. Okay, this is very, very useful, yung problem definition. May magandang tools sa define phase to help you define problems. There's someone who mentioned that pain point niya is promotion. So I cannot guarantee you that you will be promoted at work because, it depends on what structures you have in place. But definitely, once you learn Lean Six Sigma, it can give you some skills that will make you more promotable. And someone mentioned about errors in their process. Yes, we will cover some tools that can help you address errors in your process. Okay, next slide. There you go. Okay. So the next one, again, nagugulan ako dito sa video. Okay, so ang reason nyo for joining, a lot of you mentioned to develop your skills, definitely. To make you more efficient at work, yes. Two people mentioned about doing improvements in their processes, yes. 2 people mentioned about getting job opportunities, definitely. So if you look in LinkedIn, you have a good chance to be accepted if you have a Lean Six Sigma background. Improve your management process, definitely. And someone, I think this person who answered this one already has some background on Lean Six Sigma and he wanted to gather more information. So definitely all the reasons you've mentioned here will be tackled. I did some tweaks. Here's a lesson na to. So this one is self-paced. So if you miss a video, you can still watch it because I'll be posting the video. I'll posting the YouTube link. Number two, this is quite important because this is yellow belt. I reduced the math part in this one. In the green belt of Lean Six Sigma, that's really heavy on math. But for the yellow belt, in my experience, you don't really need lots of math. But there will be parts where I need to introduce mathematical concepts. But I try my best to reduce it and focus on the practical tools that you can use on the yellow belt level. So definitely focus on the most relevant tools. So I will be talking tools that I have used in my experience, the ones that were really useful in dealing with my clients. There will be theory and hands-on. So I'll give you the theory and the hands-on part. I will be giving you exercises that you can do in your own free time. I really encourage you to do the exercises because this is really the best way for you to learn about the tools. I will provide more relevant examples kasi ang background nitong Lean Six Sigma, it originated sa manufacturing side, okay? Manufacturing industries, and looking at the profile of the attendees here, parang wala naman from a manufacturing background. Most of the examples in standard Lean Six Sigma, packs are manufacturing related. So I'll try to tweak it to be more focused more on towards service-oriented industries. Okay. There's also a concept called just-in-time training, which is used in Lean Six Sigma. This talks about the flexibility of the instructor. So, for example, throughout the discussion of the session, I would realize na may need pala yung certain group of participants for this type of tool, then I might tweak the coverage in the next session to focus on this tool. So para siyang nag-a-adjust in the concept of the manufacturing is called just-in-time training. And of course, the outcome of this one, if you're able to finish the modules and get a test, you will be given a certification, and that you can proudly say that you are Lean Six Sigma Yellow Belt certified. Some resources. So we have a Facebook page. I'll be posting the guides and the handouts from time to time in our Facebook page. So you can follow that there, and I'll post the links there. The videos I will post in a YouTube channel, and the link will be posted sa Facebook. So every time we conduct a live session, the recording of this one will be uploaded sa YouTube. For the exam will be given at the end of the entire course through Kahoot. I will be giving you a link, and this is where you get the exam. Some exercises along the way will be also given through Kahoot through a self-paced exercise. Okay. And this is how your certificate would look like. I'll be using the company I've registered in Cebu called LSSE, Lean Six Sigma Expert Training and Consulting. And you will be given the certification and the day that you finished your exam. Okay, someone is, taglit lang, i-mute natin. May maingay yata na background. Hold on. Okay, so SOPs, I really encourage you to participate. If there are exercises that are given, you can do that your own free time. If you have questions, please, you can ask questions. At every part, I will be posting so that you can ask questions. And of course, let's have fun along the way. That's the best way to really learn when you have fun. I'll try my best to make it as fun as possible. Okay. Okay, so let me just, in this part, I'll just briefly introduce about myself in the Lean Six Sigma context. Some of you might know some bits of it, others might not, so I'm just going to briefly walk through it. So the first one is, you know already, so I'm a black belt in Lean Six Sigma. It has nothing to do with martial arts, of course. Actually, now I'm a master black belt, so I'm able to also certify black belts. Although in my experience, most of the certifications I do are for yellow belt and green belt. Next one, some of you might not know, but I am a backpacker. I really love traveling, and actually use the principles of Lean Six Sigma in my travel, so that it's very cost effective. I'm able to maximize my travel. And we know that as a Filipino with a third world passport, backpacking in Europe can really be a challenge. So I've done backpacking sa Europe 5 times, and I've written itong experience na to, how to make the system work. So I have a book that's published, Backpacking in Europe. In fact, one of the attendees here is included in that acknowledgement page of that book, si Iris. Kasi nag-hinost ako ni Iris when I visited her when she was still in Finland. And the last part about me, so I was thinking, ano bang B ang pwede ko ma-describe sa sarili ko? So I started with the black belt, backpacker. And the third B I was thinking of is bohemian. I think my career is probably could not be considered as typical. My background is in chemical engineering. I became an intern sa Shell refinery. I had the opportunity to formulate deodorants early in my career. I also had the chance to be a chemistry and physics teacher, and also a chance to be a project engineer, where we're dealing, one of the projects that we dealt with was ripening of bananas. And then I became an EHS engineer, as environment, health, and safety in one of the manufacturing plants. And part of my role there was really to look into our wastewater effluent. It was during this time when an opportunity came that the person handling Lean Six Sigma left the company. So the boss of that company, so that company is GE, approached me and told me, Judel, would you be willing to handle Six Sigma on top of your environment, health, and safety role, pero walang dagdag sa sahod? Okay, but I accepted that because I know that I know that it would be a good investment in my career, and I think that was a very good decision. So even though walang dagdag sa sahod, I took on the Six Sigma black belt role, and it has opened a lot of opportunities for me. Right after that, I became a lean manager sa isang chewing gum company, where I applied the Lean Six Sigma principles. And I came back again to the same company. They hired me back as an EHS manager with an expanded role. At that time too, a lot of companies were embracing Lean Six Sigma. So from manufacturing, nag-shift ako sa banking industry, because in the banking industry, these are service-oriented industries. We applied Six Sigma, and I took my MBA. And after my MBA, I decided to do freelancing. So right now, I am consulting that. There are 2 companies I doing my consultancy work. One is involved in the seafood supply chain, and the other one is in a beekeeping company that is based in Portugal. So right now I am based in Portugal, and I'm able to apply, my consultancy, Lean Six Sigma in these industries. One takeaway actually for Lean Six Sigma, it's applicable in different industries. So grabe ang kanyang versatility. So the tools that you learn in Lean Six Sigma, you can apply in different industries. Okay, let me continue. Hold on. So we now go to the introduction of Lean Six Sigma, and I'm going to show you a video. Hopefully the video will play. If not, I'll give you the links video. We will cover here what Six Sigma is, what is Lean Six Sigma, benefits of Lean Six Sigma, and then the methodology called DMAIC. Okay, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I hope this video would show. Let's see. The video is showing? Okay, great. Just
Sir Judel, but no audio po.
No audio. Okay.
Yes, sir. I think
Oh,
I
wait.
think you need to redo the screen share para to ano to
What do I do? Sorry.
to enable
um
audio, sir, dun sa baba po
oo.
ng
So
share
stop mo
audio.
muna yung screen share and then when you do the share screen again,
Okay.
merong
Share.
checkbox sa lower left. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Screen share. PowerPoint. Share sound. Yep. Okay. Hopefully this one should work. Does it? Can you hear now the audio?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ulitin natin. Okay, so hopefully it gave you an idea of that video of what Lean Six Sigma is. That's actually the first definition of Six Sigma. It's a description of a process. So the video started with asking the question. Let me just, how do I put the white screen? Balik ko lang to. Okay, the video started with asking, is 99% good enough? Okay, actually 99% is not bad enough, right? I mean, when you have 99%, it means that in a 100 point exam, you only got one mistake. So 99% is actually not bad. However, there are some industries where 99% is not good enough. Okay. In fact, the concept of Six Sigma came about in Motorola because in these processes where you have very critical processes, you need to perform better than 99%. Okay. In fact, that's why the concept of Sigma came about. So there's a mathematical definition, but a Sigma definition can be converted into a percentage. And right now, you can just accept for now the meaning of Six Sigma to be equal to 99.9996%, which means that if you're operating at Six Sigma, which is 99.9996% good, it only means that for 1,000,000 opportunities, you will only have 3.4 defects. And how do we translate this into everyday terms? The best example I can think of, if you are a utility company, okay? If you're a utility company and you're operating at 99% good, you will have 7 hours of power failure every month. But if you are operating at a stricter level, at Six Sigma level, which is 99.9996%, you're a power company, you would only have 1 hour of power failure every 34 years. So that's how good your process is if you're operating at Six Sigma. And that's the first definition of Six Sigma. It is a process description. Okay. So when your process is operating at Six Sigma level, it means that you're operating at 99.996%. Good. So we now demystify that first piece of Six Sigma. It is a process description. There is another definition of Six Sigma. It is the methodology. It is the way you approach how you would solve a process. And Six Sigma follows what we call a DMAIC methodology. It stands for D for define, M for measure, A for analyze, I for improve, and C for control. By the way, the slides that I'll be showing here, you will be given access to this after the training. Please use it for your personal consumption. If you need to share it to your close friends, just ang special request ko lang is not to remove the logo of LSSE. Okay. So the methodology anchors back to this formula here called y equals f of x. And I know that for some of you, it might bring about some nightmares of your high school algebra. But ang simple definition lang ng y equals f of x, if y is the desired characteristic, x is the internal characteristic. If you want to change y, you need to tweak on the x's. Okay? Kung gusto mong ma-improve yung y, mag-focus ka sa x. So parang ganun lang yung concept ng y equals f of x. If you have a problem in your process, okay, you want to improve that process, you need to identify what are the x's that are contributing to that problem. That's basically the entire concept of the DMAIC methodology of Six Sigma. And how are you able to address that? Okay, so there's a step-by-step process to the DMAIC methodology. You start first with define. In define, you just need to identify what your focus area is. Okay, what's the problem all about? Okay, and we will encounter a lot of tools in define, because sometimes you're not able to address your customers' needs if you're not able to define what the problem is all about. Okay, so that's the first step. Okay, identify what the problem is. M is measure. Here is you make it measurable. Okay, you quantify the pain point. How much of the pain is your customer feeling? Okay, and then once you measure that, you go to the next phase, which is called analyze. You now identify what the root causes are. What are the excess that are contributing to your Y? And after that, once you identify what the excess are, you go to improve. Okay, you implement the solution, you verify the effectiveness. And after that, you move to the last phase, which is control. Control is about making the solution sustainable. Because in our experience, sometimes when you solve a problem and you move to another function, more often than not, the problem goes back again. So that's the reason why there is that control phase, to ensure that the problem doesn't go back again. So that's how the DMAIC methodology would go about. You define what the problem is, you make it measurable, you analyze what the root causes are, you improve it, and then you make the solution sustainable. So that's the other definition of Six Sigma. Six Sigma is just the methodology in terms of solving a problem. Okay. So the first definition of Six Sigma, it is a process description. And the other one, it is a methodology in how you solve problem. So we now, yun lang, that's the demystification of Six Sigma. Okay. So why do people go to Lean Six Sigma? Later on, I'll explain paano napunta yung Lean sa picture. Okay. If you look kanina dun sa participant profile, all of you are coming from different backgrounds. Okay. And that's the good thing about Lean Six Sigma. You can couple it with your domain expertise. Okay. So for example, Karen here could be an expert in terms of property management. Winby could be a domain expert in terms of training. Iris could be the domain expert here in water governance. Then you add that with Lean Six Sigma, then that's really can be considered the sweet spot. Okay, so yep, I just received a note. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. So na-explain natin yung Six Sigma. not sure how to do this. This is probably more a deep dive. Paano na, you might be wondering, so Six Sigma is 99.9996%. There is a mathematical definition. Paano naging Six Sigma? I'll try my best to make it as layman as possible, okay? So this is my attempt to make it as layman as possible for this level. So what if someone tells you my process is better than your process? Can you say that your process is better than someone else's process? What if that person is in the hospital and the other person is in a maintenance department? So parang hindi ka makapag-compare ng apples to oranges, right? However, there is a way where you can describe parang apples to apples. And this is, you can compare one process to another process. And this definition is in terms of what we call as the process capability. When you say process capability, how your process is capable to address the customer's requirement. Okay? Yung customer mo, the one who receives the output of your process. So to illustrate this, I'm going to give a manufacturing example. Okay, so para mas ma-clear yung process capability. I'll try to make this as layman as possible. So imagine we are producing stick gums, okay? Chewing gum. And yung stick gum natin has a weight. Okay? It could be 3.1, 3.2. So every time that we produce a stick gum, may specific weight ang gum. And variation, by the way, variation is normal sa everyday processes. There will always be variation. Okay? So when we produce these stick gums, sometimes we get a 3.1 gram, sometimes we get a 3.2 gram, 3.3, and so on and so forth. So assuming we have this data ng ating chewing gum. So the best way to present this is what we would call a histogram. Mas visual siya kung ganito mo siyang i-present, di ba? Compared to the previous illustration. So the chart that you are looking right now is what you call a histogram. Okay? It maps out yung weight ng chewing gum mo. So sa baba, yung weight ng chewing gum at yung sa may, this is what you call the y-axis is the frequency. So notice na here, sa 3.1, may 7 chewing gum kang nakuha. Okay? Which means that ang pinaka madalas na makuha mong weight is actually at 3.1 chewing gum. So sometimes it's less, sometimes it is more because variation is part of everyday processes. Weight is actually what you would call a continuous data. We will cover that in measure. But if you have let's say an instrument na kaya pa niyang ma-weigh down to the lowest decimal and you try to plot it, parang yung magiging assumption, approximation ng graph mo would be something like this. It's what you call a distribution. This is how the weight of the chewing gum will look like kung masyado ng maganda yung instrument mo. Ang pagbasa lang nitong chart na to is which means that you are more likely to get a chewing gum that has the weight of 3.1 grams. You can get a chewing gum that's probably 2.8, but not as frequent as 3.1. Okay? So for example, which one in this graph, which one are you going to more likely get? A chewing gum that weighs 3.2 grams or a chewing gum that weighs 3.4 grams? Can you answer maybe sa my chat box? Which is more likely? Using this chart, anong mas more likely na makukuha mong weight? 3.2 or 3.4 grams? If you can answer sana sa text box. Just make a, okay. Yep, you are more likely to get a 3.2 kasi nandito yung 3.2 compared sa 3.4. Mas mababa yung dito sa 3.4. So 1 na siya. So you're more likely to get here versus here. Yun lang yung interpretation ng graph na yun. Okay. Now, in every process, there's what you call a specification limit. Okay? May limit na gusto yung customer natin. So let's say in this case, ang limit natin, we have a lower limit. We don't want a chewing gum that's below 3. But we don't want a chewing gum that exceeds 3.3. Anong reason? So we don't want a chewing gum that's lower than 3 kasi you will be penalized by the Bureau of Food and Drugs. Okay? Kasi parang nagbebenta ka sa customer mo, at the end of your pack, you're stating that 3.2 grams, pero pag winay nila 2.8, parang nag-cheat ka sa iyong customer. Okay? So you can be penalized for do that. So you don't want a chewing gum na mas mababa yung weight. On the other hand, you don't want naman a chewing gum na lampas ng 3.3. Okay? Why? What do you think is the reason? Why don't you want a chewing gum that's higher than 3.3? Okay, if you can answer sa my chat box. Yes, precisely. Lugi ka from a cost standpoint, because if you're running a business, you use 3.3 worth grams of products and you're charging only for 3.2. So lugi ang business mo. So now you have specification limit. You don't want to go down below 3. You don't want to go up before 3.3. And anything that goes beyond those limits is what you would call as defects. Okay? Anything that goes out of the limit is considered a defect. Now, your process can be described. Okay. Your process can be described in terms of the average. Okay, saan nagpa-flock ang data mo. And it can also be described in terms of variability, how scattered your data is, how consistent your data is. Okay. So, pag yung process mo is very, very inconsistent, masyadong sabog yung data mo, medyo flat itong curve mo. Okay? But if your process is very, very consistent, okay, bababa yung standard deviation mo. Very consistent ang data mo, magkakalapit siya. Okay. So what will be the implication of that one? If so now I'm showing you two possible scenarios of your graph. The one below, start tayo sa the one below. Here, your process is very consistent. When you say very consistent, konting-konti lang yung variation niya. Okay? So if your process is very, very consistent, okay, mababa ang iyong standard deviation or mababa ang iyong variability, mas kumakasya siya dito sa specification limit. And when that happens, you only have a low probability of defect. Konti lang ang maging defect ng process mo. Compared to the one here on top, this one, your process is a little bit scattered. Mas malaki yung variation mo. In this case, mas mataas ang defects mo. Okay? So this talks about your process capability. When your process has a good process capability, okay? When your process has a good process capability, sobrang baba lang ng defects niya. But if your process has a poor process capability, mas malaki ang defects niya. Mas malaki yung chances mo na lumalabas ka sa specification limits. Okay? So that's about the process capability lang. How capable your process is. At your process capability can actually be described in terms of what we call sigma level. So for now, assume mo lang na yung process mo can be defined by sigma level. Ang sigma level is the amount of variation that you can fit into your process. Balikan natin yung chart na to. Okay. So, in this case, ang variability ng process mo can be described in terms of the standard deviation or how many deviations can you fit. Pag sobrang ganda ng variability mo, you're able to fit in up to 6 sigma, okay, within your what do you call this, within your specification limit. Pag sabog yung process mo or makalat siya, you're only able to fit in maybe 2 sigma deviations. Okay? Kasi parang may distance yan eh. This is 1 sigma deviation, 2 sigma deviation, 3 sigma deviation. Yung sigma is parang it's a measure of variability. Pag masyado siyang wide, konti lang ang ma-fit mo sa loob ng specification limit. Pag sobra siyang consistent, mas marami kang ma-fit So in this case, makakafit ka ng 1, 2, 3, maybe up to 6 sigma level, 6 sigma deviations. So that reflects in this chart. Okay? If your process is very, very consistent, it's very, very narrow, you're able to fit up to 6 sigma within the process. But if your process is really poor, sabog siya, taas yung variation, you're only able, medyo flat, you're only able to fit maybe about up to 2 sigma level. Normally, average companies would probably be within 3.8. Okay? You can only fit 3 sigma levels within the specification limit. Pag 3 yan, ganito kadami yung defects. Pag 2, let's say yung sigma level, almost 30% or 300,000. But if it's 6, sobrang straight yung process mo, konti lang yung defects mo. Okay? That is probably the best way I can think of Six Sigma. I will leave the mathematics side because that is covered in the higher level. Okay, there's a math for this one. We will not cover it. This is for the higher level of Six Sigma. But what I just want you to remember is probably this chart. Okay, if your process is so good, it is very consistent, your variation is very minimal, okay, it's very, very narrow, you're able to fit in up to 6 sigma within the specification limit. Okay, but if your process is very poor, okay, your variability is high, mataas ang variability mo, you're able to probably only fit up to 2 sigma level within your specification limit. Okay, and every sigma level has a corresponding defects. If you're only able to fit in 2 sigma, you will have 30% defects or 300,000 in 1 million. But if your process is so good, okay, very consistent siya, very narrow ang iyong curve, you're able to fit in up to 6 sigma within the curve, and you will only have 3.4 defects. At yung sigma level is computed for this one. Okay, this is the computation. We will not cover it, but there is a basis on how the 2, the 3, the 4, and the 5, and the 6 sigma were computed. Okay, hindi natin i-cover na ang computation nito. This is for the higher level. Okay, how do we reflect that in the real world scenario? Let us just go back so people can relate to real world scenario. Okay, if your process is operating at 99% good, and this is equivalent to 3.8 sigma, and if you are an MRT, you will have a breakdown of every 4 hours. Every 4 hours, sira ang MRT. But if your process is so good, okay, you're operating at 6 sigma level, you're able to fit in 6 sigma standard deviation within the specification limit. That is equivalent to percentage of 99.9996%. You will only have a breakdown every 2 years. Okay. Airplane, kung 99% good ka lang, you will only be operating at 3.8 sigma. You will have 3 flights delayed at least 1 hour every day. But at 6 sigma, which is 99.996% good, you will only have 1 delayed flight of every hour every 2 years. Okay. And this is the best example. The best example I always use. If you're 99%, you're a power company, you will have a power failure of 7 hours every month. But if you're operating at 6 sigma, you will only have 1 hour power failure every 34 years. Okay. So that is the process definition of Six Sigma. We will revisit this more in measure. I know that might be too much to cover for the intro part, but I just want you to know where that the basis of that Sigma level came about. Okay. So in summary, okay, if there's a takeaway that I want you to have, at least for this part, is that when someone asks you what is Six Sigma, there are 2 definitions. One, it is a description of a process of how good your process is, which is 99.996%, or 3.4 defects in 1 million opportunities. And the other definition is, it is a methodology or an approach. Yun lang. And mas maganda kung may natawag tayong mga elevator pitch. Okay? Ang elevator pitch usually na ginagamit ko is, if you're a power company, you're operating at 99%, ilang hours ka power failure every month kapag 99%? You can put in the chat box kung nalala nyo. Yes, 7. But if you're a power company and operating at 6 Sigma, sige nga kung may nakalala, ano yung power failure mo kapag you're operating at 6 Sigma? Hindi natin kung may nakaalala. I know that may be a tough one to ask. Very good. Ang galing naman ni Hannah, nalala niya. So 1 hour in 34 years. At ni Karen. Yes. So yun ang magandang elevator pitch. No? If someone asks you about Six Sigma, that's really, people can relate to it. Makikita mo yung stark difference. Okay. Questions at this point before we go to, what time is it? Okay, so 15 minutes, I think we can cover the rest. Thank you for those who are still around. A couple of people had to jump off because they have a call. I'll just finish this with the lean part, and then this part is over. Questions at this point? Okay, wala naman. Okay, let's proceed. Ang kaibahan pala ng Six Sigma sa other approaches, it converts a practical problem to a statistical problem, and a statistical problem to a statistical solution, and they convert the statistical solution into a practical solution. However, and that's why actually ang green belt and black belt is really heavy on the statistics. It's heavy on math. Okay, so if you want to pursue your career in Six Sigma, you need, it's a fact of life that you need to embrace the math side of it. The good news is, based on my experience and dealing with service-oriented industries, you don't need to go to the green belt level or black belt level. Even a yellow belt level, you are able to address most of the issues in the service industry. So you can avoid the math kung sa yellow belt. Okay, so normally ang mga process improvement is yung mga poor process capability, i-center yung process or i-improve mo yung i-reduce mo yung variation. But for the yellow belt level, itong mga type of projects would probably be bihira. Okay? Kasi yung data na i-deal natin for yellow belt will be more on discrete. Okay. And I've flashed already this methodology. This is the methodology that being used when you want to go through a project. Okay. And I've said Six Sigma is a description of a process, and it is a methodology. Now let's go to lean. Okay, lean. Bakit lean? What is lean? Lagi mo na rin, kasi before Six Sigma lang yan dati, pero now they call it Lean Six Sigma. We have to go to saan nanggaling ang concept ng lean. Actually, lean is about providing value to your customer, okay, through a process called what we call waste elimination. So there are two important definitions in lean. It's the value and the waste elimination. So what is value? Ano ba yung value na yun? A value is anything that your customer is willing to pay for. Okay. For example, I usually use the Jollibee example. Okay, so for example, a kilo of potatoes is probably, I don't know, magkano na ba ngayon ang kilo ng potatoes dito sa atin? So sabi natin siguro maybe 60 pesos. I'm not sure. Baka wala na ako sa reality. However, itong Jollibee fries, yung large fries, is about 60 pesos. Pero konti lang siya na potatoes. Okay? And yet, you're willing to pay for that large fries. Yung large fries na yan, kahit na konti na lang yung potatoes doon. Because you're willing to let go of your money because you're paying for that value, the value of that fries. Along the way, yung potatoes na yan to be converted into a French fries, you added value. There was a transformation that happened. From a bag of potatoes, it became French fries. And along the way, you added value to it. And that's why your customer is willing to pay for that large fries, kahit konti lang yung potatoes. That is value. Anything that your customer is willing to let go of the money or willing to pay for it, that is value. Okay. So, in real life examples, what is your customer willing to pay for? They're actually your ang value na your customer is pay for can be reduced into three buckets: quality, responsiveness or timeliness, and cost. Okay, this is what value is for the customer: quality, cost, and responsiveness or timeliness. Okay, and in fact, sa work industry, any of the problems that you encounter can be a problem of quality, it could be a problem of cost, or it could be a problem of timeliness. UCD. Lahat ng mga issues na na-encounter mo, most or 99% of the time, can be classified as a problem of quality, or it can be a problem of cost, or a problem of timeliness or responsiveness. And in Lean, we will cover, there's what you call 8 types of waste. I'll just flash this briefly. We will cover this in detail in the succeeding modules. But there are different types of waste that you can encounter in process. Yung waste na to, these are things that do not add value. Okay? If there's anything that do not add value, then it is considered waste. Okay? And in Lean, we will map it from the perspective of the customer, what your customer is willing to pay for. Okay, and anything that does not add value, you remove it. That's considered waste. I will not go through each one in details because we will cover this, I think, in the measure phase. But once you go through what we call yung Lean, you can have what we call Lean goggles. Then you can go to your process and identify the wastes in your process. And I think one of the persons here mentioned about process improvement. Definitely will have a lot of tools na magagamit sa Lean that you can look at your process and identify opportunities for improvement. So Lean is about maximizing value to your customer and the elimination of waste. Normally, ang mga Lean projects tackle more on problems on timeliness. Okay? How soon can you get back to your customer? So the question is, what is Lean Six Sigma now? Okay, we've covered Six Sigma and what is Lean. To understand that, we can go through the history. Okay, I think these are the relevant milestones in the Lean Six Sigma history. I think in 1913, the Ford production model was created. So nakaka-mass produce si Ford. And then ang Toyota naman, meron silang production system that's very lean, minimal ang inventory. Okay, ang background ng Lean Six Sigma kasi nagsimula ito sa mga manufacturing industries. In 1986, this was the time that Motorola adopted the concept of Lean Six Sigma. Okay? Na-realize kasi ng Motorola na hindi lang basta ubra yung 99%. They need a standard that is much tougher than 99%. So, they adopted what we call now the Six Sigma methodology. In 1995, yung GE inadopt ng ang Six Sigma inadopt ng GE, and at that time GE used to be the world's most admired company. So malaking ginagawa nitong GE na to when they got Six Sigma. It became very popular. In fact, in GE you cannot be promoted if you're not Lean Six Sigma Green Belt certified. So that's why the Six Sigma methodology became really popular because of GE. In 1996, may book na issue about lean thinking. Okay? Ang lean naman nanggaling sa Toyota. In 2001, yung software begin to adopt mga lean principles. Okay? Mga lean principles. So nagsimula sa manufacturing but other industries started adopting Lean Six Sigma, mga service industry. So now may mga call centers, most of the call centers now require their agents to be Lean Six Sigma certified. So call centers are service industries. They realize the power of Lean Six Sigma. I think the first time the Lean Six Sigma term came about was actually in 2002. Okay? So pinag-marry siya. So nagsimula na Six Sigma and Lean, different ang pinanggalingan. But in 2002, practitioners said, why don't we combine the power of both Lean and Six Sigma? So now the question is, what is Lean Six Sigma? Okay, do you know this guy? Sino yan? Hindi nyo kilala yan? Siya yung nagkanta ng I have a pen, I have an apple. Ano to? Apple pen. I have si Pico Taro. Saka, may nagkuhan. No, banana. No, not banana. Ano ba yung kanta yan? I have a pen, I have pineapple. Pineapple, apple pen. Yes, yes. Tama. Yan. Apple pen. So parang ganun lang yan, yung Lean Six Sigma. I have Lean, I have Six Sigma. Put them together, Lean Six Sigma. So, ganun lang yung Lean Six Sigma. So now, pinag-combine yung power ng both methodologies. Yun lang yung Lean Six Sigma. It's a combination of Lean and Six Sigma. Lean is about more on reduction of cycle time. Okay? Mahaba yung process mo, paano mo siya paiksiin. Lean is about improving organization, improvement of flow, mabilis ang takbo ng products mo. Ang power naman ng Six Sigma is about reduction of errors or defects. It's about data and statistics and about variation. So now you combine the power of these two methodologies, Lean and Six Sigma. That's now the Lean Six Sigma. Okay. So the certification, by the way, that's before ang mga certification were only on Six Sigma, but here in this course you will be certified in Lean Six Sigma, okay? Because we will cover Lean concepts and Six Sigma concepts. Okay, so now you have the power of Lean Six Sigma when you finish this, but there's a warning, okay? The warning here is that some people think that pag meron in-adapt ng company nila yung Lean Six Sigma is mas-solve na yung problems nila. Okay? Okay, that's not the case because kailangan i-apply mo yung tools and sometimes you need to have infrastructure in place to implement Lean Six Sigma. And that's why, for example, yung may mga clients ako na nagtatanong, sir, can we get Green Belt certification? Okay? So I asked them the profile of their company and I realized na hindi sila ready for Lean Six Sigma na Green Belt. Kasi walang structure in place or system in place to support it. And that's why I would warn you na kung let's say if you want to pursue Green Belt, sometimes I would discourage you kasi kung Green Belt yung certification mo, tapos the company that you would belong, it doesn't have the system or process in place, masasayang lang yung matutunan mo sa Green Belt. So there has to be a structure in place before you can embrace on the higher belt levels. But in my experience, yellow belt level can address a lot of the common issues that's encountered in the service industry. Okay, let's go to there's another definition of Lean Six Sigma as a whole. And before that, I would like to flash to you these three pictures here. What do you think these guys have in common? Do these guys look familiar to you? Pwede kayo magsalita kung gusto nyo. Kilala nyo itong mga taong to. Or you can put it in the comment. You know this guy?
Roger Moore.
Okay, Roger Moore.
Richard Dean Anderson.
Okay, who's saying that? Sino si Richard Dean Anderson, ma'am? Michelle. Is that Michelle?
Sorry.
Si Michelle ba
And the
yun?
other one,
So you have James Bond.
Batman.
So this guy, Richard Dean Anderson, actually MacGyver. Okay. That's
MacGyver. Yeah.
MacGyver. And you have Batman. So what do these guys have in common with Lean Six Sigma? I'll answer that in the next slide. So you can think of Lean
Mhm.
Six Sigma as a toolkit. Okay, so we now have the power of Lean and Six Sigma. Combine them together. Lean and Six Sigma are actually methodologies in terms of tackling problem issues. You can also think of Lean Six Sigma as a toolkit. You have a set of tools that you're able to address different problems. Okay, so for example, para siyang toolkit na baga kung may pako, you would need a hammer. If you want to cut wood, you can get a saw. You can think of Lean Six Sigma as a toolkit that you have tools at your disposal that you help you address the problems that you would encounter in mostly in work processes. So going back to the pictures here, this guy is MacGyver. I think the new generation MacGyver is si Lucas. There's a new may bagong generation na MacGyver sila eh. But previously, this is my generation. Yung MacGyver, si MacGyver kasi, this is a guy who is afraid of guns, but he's able to get out of tough situations by using common objects. Okay, so si MacGyver, so may ginagamit siyang different tools at his disposal. Si Batman naman, di ba, may mga gadgets din siya, may belt siya, may rope siya, may wings. Okay? And si James Bond may gadgets din siya. You know, may spy camera siya, yung gun, may pen, may explode, and so on and so on. Yung watch niya, okay? He can get out of tough situations with this gadget. So these guys use tools to get out of sticky situations. In the same time, if you are a Lean Six Sigma practitioners, okay, you have actually a lot of tools at your disposal that you can use to address different types of problems that you encounter at work. Okay, and I'll give you some of the tools that you will be encountering in this course. Here are some examples of the tools that you will be exposed to in this course. Okay, let me show you some real life scenarios. So this was in the news, I think, a couple of months ago. So Spanish Rail costly blunder, new trains too large for tunnels. So they produced trains, but lo and behold, they realized that their trains were too large for tunnels. So nung nakita ko to, yung news na to, oy sayang, they could have used a Lean Six Sigma tool to have prevented this disaster. There was another funny news that came about in, I think this was in 2018. Medyo humorous siya. So Chinese made condoms too small. According to the Zimbabwe Health Minister, they complained that the condoms produced by China were too small. So when I read this news, medyo na-amused din ako. Sabi ko, they could have used a Lean Six Sigma tool here that could have prevented this issue. And the tool that I had in mind is what we call the VOC to CTQ. So this will be one of the tools that you will encounter in this course. The VOC to CTQ tool is called Voice of the Customer to Critical to Quality. So this tool helps you translate your customer requirements, okay, the voice of the customer, into measurable requirements. So when you're able to do this, you are able to address your customers' requirements and prevent complaints or reduce the complaints. So that's one of the tools that we will encounter. Another one, I'm not sure now kung nag-improve, but I experienced this, yung NBI process. Okay, you wait for 2 hours, but the actual touch time, yung actual interaction mo lang with the person, is probably 3 minutes. 3 minutes out of 2 hours. So naisip ko, a tool that they could have used here is what we call a value stream map. Okay, value stream map will be one of the tools that we will encounter in this course. It helps you map the process of your customer, identify yung mga non-value added time. So you reduce the waiting time. Okay. And last example, nabasa ko to sa news in 2018, the Kenyan doctor performs brain surgery on wrong patient. Okay, so mabasa ko to, wow. Paano to nangyari, itong situation na to? a doctor performs brain surgery on wrong patient. Sabi ko, ang unang napasok sa isip ko rin, oh, they could have used the Lean Six Sigma tool here. And the tool that I had in mind was Pokayoke. Okay, so Pokayoke will be one of the tools that we will also encounter in this module. It's about error proofing. Okay, some of the tools that you can use to prevent errors. So the tools I just mentioned are some of the tools that we will be encountering in this course. In my experience, these were some of the problems that I've encountered in my career. There was once that I was asked to improve a scorecard in our environment, health and safety within 2 months. One time I dealt with a project that's dealing with purchasing cycle time because it was taking like 6 months to purchase something, and I wanted to improve that process. I had a customer who wanted to improve his maintenance process. I had the experience as well dealing with variants of materials. I had a client that he wants his face-to-face meeting to be effective. You know, it can sometimes your customer can give you a very ambiguous requirement. I want my face-to-face meeting to be effective. Okay, so what tools do you have in mind to help this? I also had the experience before where we were transferring to a new process, and my stakeholders would like to know what are the risks of the new process and how are we able to address those risks. So these were some of the projects that I have encountered in my career, and I'm pretty sure that the tools I have used here will be something that you can also use for the challenges that you will be encountering in your different processes. Just to give you an idea of the different complexity of the tools, as you progress through the belts, nagiging complex din yung tools. There are actually 4 major levels in Six Sigma. There's the white, the yellow, the green, and the black, sorry. In the past, dalawa lang yung levels niyan before, green and black. Okay? And of course, on top of the black is the master black belt. But then they realized now, that people can also learn less complex tools for their process, and that's why they formed yung yellow belt and white belt. So nagkakaiba lang yan sa problem type. Ang yellow belt is you know what the X's are, what are the causes of your problems, and the why. Most of the yellow belt projects will dealing with discrete data. Okay, we will discuss that in measure, what we call the discrete data. And some of the tools that we cover here will be Pareto, Boxplot, Fishbone, FMEA. We'll cover that. And normally, ang yellow belt is 2 days. 2 days na course of 16 hours. If you get a course out in typical course ng yellow belt, I'm not sure kung updated to, but I think it's in the range of 15,000 for a yellow belt course. So I really hope that you be serious in this course, because this is a free course, and I want you to be invested in this one, and this is my way of paying it forward. Okay, ang green, I think ang green na yata ngayon is umaabot na ng 60 days, pero bihira na tong green na ino-offer. Usually ang mga companies ang mga nag kumukuha ng green belt at black belt, kasi this is really a huge investment for the companies. And sometimes when I have clients approaching me, dinidiscourage ko silang mag green only because if they don't have a structure or system in place, sayang lang yung magiging training nila sa green kasi hindi nila magagamit. And based on my experience, most of the common, or 80% or 90% of the problems in service industries can be addressed by yellow belt tools. Okay. So what's in it for you when you study Lean Six Sigma? Just quick one. I'm just showing here a few more slides here. So sometimes the relationship of your degree and your field of work can be totally different. No? Nag-aral, like in this case, parang nag-scuba dive ka pero napunta ka sa disyerto. Like for example, right now, probably I'm just using 3% of what I've learned in college. My background is in chemical engineering, but right now I think most of the work I do is in the seafood sector and in the beekeeping sector. So, and that's why nakakatulong itong Lean Six Sigma. Okay, it can be a good complement to your domain expertise. And there are three things that I can think of on in how Lean Six Sigma can help you. The first one, it helps you to be customer focused. Okay, you always think of your customer. When you have this kind of mindset, you're able to address the needs of your customer. And practicing Lean Six Sigma gives you this advantage. The second one is process orientation. Okay, if you're exposed to Lean Six Sigma, you will always have a process mindset. There is an input, there is an output, and there is a transformation along the way. So everything is just like a process. And if you've seen the slide I flashed earlier in terms of my career, I've been through a manufacturing industry, I've been sa academe, sa banking industry, seafood sector, and beekeeping. I'm able to adapt myself quickly with thanks to the help of Lean Six Sigma because of the process orientation. Okay, so once you get to know more about Six Sigma, it gives you that kind of orientation. You look at everything, and everything is just a process. And the last one, it can help you as well in terms of structured thinking. We will look at some of the tools here in Six Sigma in terms of how you structure your thought process. We will be covering convergent and divergent thinking. I think one of the participants mentioned here about facilitating discussion. Yes, I have maraming tools sa Lean Six Sigma that can help you facilitate discussion. As an example, yung current client ko right now finds value in my presence sa meetings because bibigyan niya ako ng topic, so I'm able to design how to run the meeting. So sometimes I would be asked to fly to the US to facilitate a meeting, just a 2-day meeting. And I think what helped me facilitate this discussion are the tools that I have here in Lean Six Sigma. So hopefully with this course can give you as well some tools that can help you facilitate discussions in your respective workplace. And I just added this slide. I used this slide when I presented to the chemical engineers. They said that these are the competencies for the 21st century for chemical engineers. But I think this can also be applied to other industries as well. They said that competencies for 21st century: complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, judgment and decision making, service orientation, negotiation, and cognitive flexibility. And I think there are a lot of ways where Lean Six Sigma can help you develop your complex problem solving and other competencies. Okay. I think that's probably my last slide. Oh, we've extended. Sorry about that. 12 minutes beyond 8:30. Thank you. I really appreciate you for staying this long. At this point, I'm open for questions. Maybe I'll just stop the recording here so that you know just to protect your